You're watching Quays News. Coming up on today's show.
More sexual harassment crimes have been reported, and we'll be taking a look into the recent claims.
Fancy dining in the sky. We give the roller coaster restaurant our rating.
We are 100 foot in the air in Manchester at the SCFC.
And what happens when we mix music and we hip up on down to the Science Festival to find out.
Hello and welcome to the programme.
We have a fully packed show today, so make sure you stick around. First up today, the latest crime survey for England and Wales. It's shown a sharp increase of reported crimes. It has gone up 13% since last year. Our top story comes from Ellis Hyde.
The latest crime survey for England and Wales showed a 13% increase in reported crimes. A large portion of that was sexual offences, as well as a recent YouGov poll that showed 64% of women face sexual harassment. Coupled with the recent New York Times expose of Hollywood mogul Harvey Weinstein, this sparked the Twitter conversation #MeToo.
Since the very first #MeToo tweet by Hollywood actress Alyssa Milano, another 1.7 million tweets have been shared, sent from 85 different countries, as well as the 12 million Facebook posts shared with the hashtag. I spoke to one victim of sexual harassment about her experiences with a boss at an internship organised by her previous university.
And it got to the time where he had to give me my grade, and so I wrote him saying, hey, I need my grade for school, and he wrote me back saying, oh, well, why don't you come and get it at my hotel? So I thought that was a bit, odd, yeah. And I was just like, I'm sorry, it's 2 hours away to your hotel, so if you could just scan it over that. And he was like, well, you could just come and spend the night. And he was like, oh, don't worry, my wife doesn't have to know. And I was just like, excuse me, but can you please just send me my grade because I need it for school? And he was like, well, if you really wanted your grade, you would come and get it.
After these recent allegations against Harvey Weinstein, people seem to be stunned by the outcry of both men and women online over the harassment they faced. The World Health Organization stated that 1 in 3 women globally face sexual offences and violence, where roughly 40% of women in the UK face it. It seems that the culture of sexual harassment has been one of silence, with men and women only now shedding light on the issue. For Quays News, I'm Ellis Hyde.
And now, free speech on campus. Universities could soon be fined or even lose their status if they block free speech. That's according to the university's minister, Joe Johnson.
He's criticised the National Union for Students' policy on no platforming. That's where controversial figures are denied the chance to speak. Thomas Bowen reports.
Many controversial speakers have been banned from UK universities in recent years for their offensive opinions. The National Union for Students' No Platforming policy means individuals can be denied a platform to speak on. However, in a new plan set out by the Office for Students, universities could now be fined, suspended or even deregistered for failing to uphold free speech. Joe Johnson, the university's minister, says he wants to curb the no platforming trend where student unions ban speakers they think will offend others. I sat down with local Labour supporter Ewan Quayle to ask his opinion on the new plan.
I think it's a good idea because for too long students' unions have been very active in banning people that they don't necessarily agree with. A big part of university is being able to discuss ideas and have that open debate, and if you have the students' union suppressing that, it's not a good thing at all. We should be encouraging it. If you disagree with somebody, debate it with them and prove them wrong.
The National Union of Students said the new plans to enforce free speech is completely ill thought through and unenforceable. Last year, Prime Minister Theresa May said it was quite extraordinary for universities to ban the discussion of topics that could cause offence. She warned that stifling free speech could have a negative impact on Britain's economic and social success. Thomas Bowen, Quays News.
We want to know what you think, so get involved in the discussion on Twitter @Quays News using the hashtag #QuaysFreeSpeech.
A woman in Uganda lost both her arms following an attack by her husband. Now students at Salford University have designed prosthetic limbs for her.
Maddie Bateson spoke to the students at Peel Park involved with the project.
Ninsima lost both of her arms during a machete attack last year. I've come down here to the Brian Blatchford building at Salford Uni to meet the students that changed her life forever. Can you talk us through the process of making a prosthetic limb in simple terms?
So first of all, you see a patient, you take an assessment and you decide on the general idea of what you're going to make for them, at which point you'll take a cast with plaster bandages by wrapping them around the limb. You'll then pour a positive from that negative cast, you take the plaster off, and then you do a process called rectification. So we add plaster to areas where there's bone and we take plaster away from the area where there's soft tissue that we call pressure tolerant areas.
How did the project make its way to Salford?
Ninsima's case is a very high profile one in Uganda, and there is a charity that works through Salford called Knowledge for Change. They'd set up a prosthetics thing the year, one or 2 years before this, and they heard about Ninsima through the people that they have there working out in prosthetics in the field.
How do you feel having seen Ninsima's reaction?
Ninsima's reaction was the best that we could possibly have hoped for, because it's such a big change in her quality of life. She'll get her children back. It was fantastic, just because her smile really gave life to the things that we'd been able to make for her.
Ninsima now has the opportunity to live her life to the full again, thanks to the University of Salford and Knowledge for Change.
Now, Damien, have you ever fancied eating whilst being 100 feet in the air?
I can't say I have, but your dreams could come true thanks to a new pop-up restaurant in Manchester. Paige Tucker went along to see what it's all about.
Events in the Sky have teamed up with Robert's Bakery to give a modern take on eating lunch 110 feet in the air over the rainy skyline of Manchester.
We are 100 foot in the air in Manchester at the SES.
Whilst hoisted in the air, chefs from Robert's Bakery served us some delicious treats from their new range and shared what they thought about baking 110 feet in the air.
We basically set out to challenge the dullness in the bakery category. We want to bring back some fun, some excitement and some inspiration, and we're going to do that through our innovation and our next-gen baking.
So how do you feel cooking 100 foot in the air?
I think it's absolutely brilliant. It's exactly what we want to do from a brand point of view. How exciting. It couldn't be any better, could it?
Did you ever get scared?
No, never.
So guys, how are you finding it so far?
Yeah, we're having a really good time. It's really good fun.
Are you scared of heights at all?
Not really, but I am getting a little bit of vertigo. It's quite empowering. It's thrilling. You know what I mean? You kind of want to go, ooh.
The Sky High Lunch was put together by the company Events in the Sky. We spoke to one of their employees to find out where this unique idea came from.
The idea came from a Belgian guy about 15 years ago. There's now 61 franchises around the world, all operating sort of with the same table, obviously different countries, different laws, things like that.
I'm guessing you're not scared of heights or anything like that?
To be honest, I'm petrified of heights. I've done about 140 odd flights this year alone, but sort of my love for people takes over, and you only live once, so you can only fall once, and falling doesn't hurt. It's the when you hit the floor that's going to hurt.
This event was the first ever to be held in Manchester. The next stop will be London. Paige Tucker reporting for Quays News.
Right, time for sport now, and Dean's here. Dean, could Salford City be about to lose some familiar faces?
At the moment, it's only speculation, Peen. But it is said that Manchester United legends and Salford City owner Ryan Giggs and Phil Neville are amongst the names said to be in the heart for the job, amongst others such as Eddie Howe, Chris Coleman and Sean Dyche. Caretaker David Unsworth will take charge in the League Cup tonight against Chelsea. Speaking of Salford City, the club unveiled the new name of their stadium this week. Moor Lane is now to be known as the Peninsula Stadium. Former United manager Sir Alex Ferguson went along to unveil the stadium and offered some words of wisdom.
You see this we have developed here, that's a sign of ambition. And that's what you've got now. Go on. Work hard. So I wish you well. I'm delighted to be here. I see fantastic progress. And they're giving something back to you that they got here many, many years ago. This is their area.
Boxing now, and IBF and WBA super heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua has had quite the year. He stopped by Manchester United's training session and was presented with a shirt by Jose Mourinho. Joshua expects to be taken 10 to 12 rounds by Carlos Takam in Cardiff at the weekend. He is fully aware of his short-notice replacement's opponent's toughness and isn't banking on a swift knockout. Here's what Joshua had to say about his opponent.
I think he's tougher. You know, someone like you can keep on punching, but some people you punch, they take 2 steps back. I think he takes 2 steps forward and still wants to hit you with a few combos. So I think that's what makes it tough.
On to athletics now, and England have named their team ahead of the Commonwealth Games, which will take place overseas in Australia next year. The team features 2 rising athletes who are born and bred right here in Manchester. 400-metre relay star George Caddick and pole vaulter Holly Bradshaw. They will be joined by famous face long jumper Greg Rutherford, who is a well-known Manchester United fan. Let's hope they can grab as much gold as they can. And that's the latest in the world of sport. Back to you, Damien.
Thanks, Dean. It's been a long sunny day here on the Quays.
It has, Damien, but are we hopeful for the next few days? Here is Dan with the weather.
Good afternoon on this breezy but pleasant sunny day here in the northwest. So far we've enjoyed sunny spells of 13 degrees, and by the looks of things it's going to remain like this for the rest of the day. For tomorrow there is a possibility of rain in the morning, though the weather is expected to be dry and cloudy for most of the afternoon, with temperatures as high as 12 degrees. As we move on into Friday, we can expect more dry sunny weather but cooler nights, temperatures again being high as 13 degrees and low as 10. For the weekend, it's not as pleasant. Cooler temperatures and winds are predicted across the region. Now, just a quick reminder that the clocks do go back an hour this weekend. Love it or loathe it, the dark winter nights are almost upon us. And if you haven't noticed them yet, you will do by Sunday. But hey, look on the plus side. At least we get that extra hour in bed. Back to you, Peen and Damien.
Now, imagine learning about science to the bars of Stormzy. Well, award-winning scientist John Chase puts the two together.
Our reporter Abby White hip-hopped on down to the Manchester Science Festival to have a listen.
Hello. How you guys doing? You alright?
Award-winning science communicator and rapper John Chase visited Salford University on Friday to officially open Manchester Science Festival. Always having a keen interest in DJing, MCing and hip-hop from a young age, John combined his 2 passions, and not long after, he was approached by NASA, who asked him to create a science rap for them.
Everyone decided to write some raps, so I wrote mine about some stuff I was just learning about, which was basically science and how science works. And then just put it down. Then about a year later, I was sitting or maybe a couple of years later, I was sitting in the car with my professor on the way to do a podcast at a conference about astrobiologists, and I just rapped to him, and I went, yes, yeah, I love science communication. He went, that's cool. And then we went to the conference, and there's an American lady there who works for NASA Astrobiology magazine, and he went, hey, Helen, he raps about science. She went, oh, give us a go, go on, show us what you got. So I showed her, she went, oh, could you do one for us?
As an audience of all ages began to fill up the room, people seemed intrigued as to how he would teach science through the form of music.
I think it's amazing, to be honest. I've only just discovered something called neuromusicology, which is the study of music and the effects it has on the brain. So I think it's something that should be addressed, and more research should be done into it. So I'm glad that someone's covering it today.
It's not just the space out there, it's also the space in here. Space has much more meaning than just a space that we think of as space. Huh.
People to become more involved in the subject.
I saw an advert for it. Actually, no, that's a lie. Somebody just told me about it, so I came down. I did physics at uni, and I like hip-hop, so it ticks my box, I guess.
Events for Manchester Science Festival are running all through the city until the 29th of October. For more information, go to www.manchestersciencefestival.com. Abby White, Quays News.
And that's all for us this week.
You can keep up to date with all our latest news online at quaysnews.net.
And stay tuned for the lowdown on next.
Quays News will be back next week, but for now, thanks for watching. Goodbye.
Goodbye.